the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Danny Sheridan joins us, the sports analyst, and of course, frequent guest here. We appreciate his time. And Danny, Happy New Year. Thanks for being with us.
Happy New Year, Paul. Always a pleasure.
Let me get your quick reaction to the news out of Tuscaloosa today. Not surprising, but still pretty significant when you consider the losses. Landon Collins, T.J. Yeldon, Amari Cooper, all coming out for the NFL. Alabama reloads every year, but that's a mouthful, isn't it?
Well, I think it was expected. I'm sure you expected it. I know I would have been surprised if they hadn't have come out. But if they find a quarterback next year, they'll have another good team. I mean, Alabama, we don't have to talk about the number one recruiting class, the defense. I just think I know they'll have a very good team, and I believe, and you do too, they'll be favored to win the West and the SEC. Tremendous losses, but tremendous backups.
No doubt. I mentioned at the top of the show that you were perhaps the only national sports handicapper to pick Ohio State to win the game against Alabama. Most of us were waving the flag of Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. What did you see that we didn't?
Well, I appreciate you mentioning that. Really getting peppered on Twitter by Ohio State fans. You would think just the opposite, but as I had mentioned to you and others, I thought Ohio State had a huge edge at quarterback. I love Cardale Jones. He's, 22 years old, third-year sophomore. I think he's a sensational athlete, as good as Barrett, as good as Miller, maybe better. And the second reason was Alabama's defensive philosophy of only rushing 4 men, especially on third down, with 6 men blocking them. I thought that would expose their defensive secondary like it did in the Auburn game and somewhat in the Missouri game. And when you give a guy like Jones, a very good quarterback, 4 to 5 seconds to throw, he's going to have people open all day. And I thought that I was very surprised that Alabama on third and long, one time I think on third and goal they rushed just 3 men, but on third and long they rushed 4 men, 6 were blocking them, and they got burned each time. So that philosophy, whether right or wrong, that's why I liked, I thought Jones would burn him. And again, to be redundant, tremendous edge at quarterback. Sims did a wonderful job this year, but this is a different stage, and I always like to go with who I perceive to be a much better quarterback. In this case, 6'5", 250-pounder. And I got lucky.
Danny, you mentioned the reaction on Twitter. When we announced you would be a guest today, we started hearing from many, as you did, Ohio State fans, and some of them reminded us of a comment that you made here on August 13th. I've always been a big fan of Urban Meyer. We've had that conversation publicly and privately. I said when he was hired in Columbus, he was the second best coach in the country behind Nick Saban. Whether that's changed or not, we may see on Monday night. But let's listen to what you said here in August of 2013.
When Dan Mullen left his squad, which I had said 4 years ago in Florida, when Mullen leaves, you're going to see the true spread offense. And he left that Florida program in ruins. You can say, oh, he won 2 national championships. That's correct. One with Ron Zook's guys, and the other with Tim Tebow. Very lucky that Tebow went there. Of course, Tebow would have gone there if you or I were the coach. They're very fortunate. But the best, he's not even in the top 50. Oh, I shouldn't say 50. Top 25.
Okay, Danny, hold on. Just so there's no Danny, slow down. Just so there's no misunderstanding. I asked you about Urban Meyer, and I said I think he's one of the top coaches in the country. You said, let me make sure we get this right because we'll be reading about it tomorrow. You don't think Urban Meyer, first you said 50, but then you amended it. You don't think he's one of the top 25 coaches in the country, correct?
Not according to what his peers have told me, and not according to what I've observed at every stop he's been, including Florida. That program was left in ruins, and I could go on and on. I'm not saying he's a bad person. If you're talking top 25 coaches, there's no way in hell he's in the top 25. And that's not just my opinion. Ask some of those Big Ten coaches, and ask some of the assistants off the record who've coached for him, as I have.
Danny, on Monday night, Urban Meyer will coach in the national championship game. If he wins, it will be his 3rd national championship. Have you changed your opinion since August 2013?
Well, first of all, August 13th, I also said on your show that Ohio State would lose 2 games, and that was considered blasphemous because they were going to be favored in every game. And one of your co-hosts, or I say cohorts, Colin Cowherd, who you have a lot of respect for, and so do I, he didn't agree, as many people didn't, that there's no way they're going to lose 2 games this season, that season, the 2013. And he bet me $1,000 for charity. Lost in the shuffle. That's what happened. They lost 2 games, including the bowl game. My criteria, if you want to be a top coach, that's mine, is when you have to rebuild a program that's fallen on hard times, like, say, Alabama when Saban arrived, not inheriting great athletes in a top program. And my thought on that, Paul, is we'll see if Meyer dominates college football and the Big Ten in a few years when a lot of the talent that he inherited is gone. If he does, that would be sensational. If he doesn't, it won't be the end of the world. But that's my criteria. I'd also add, too, for the Ohio State fans, yours truly, not to brag, but I didn't hear from any of y'all when Virginia Tech beat them. I didn't hear from any of y'all, and I say any of you, you're talking probably 75 fans on Twitter, not the Ohio State Nation. Didn't hear it from anybody before the Michigan State game, where I picked Ohio State to upset Michigan State. Didn't hear from anybody before the Wisconsin game saying, look what you said, that's terrible. I picked them to beat Wisconsin. And I certainly didn't hear from them before the Alabama game and got lucky and picked them to beat Alabama. So that's my thought, Paul. Certainly not a terrible person, but let's just see what happens. As I said, in August of 2013, I said many times, see what happens when the talent leaves in 2 years. Let's see if he dominates the Big Ten. He may. And let's see if he dominates college football. He may. And if he does, more power to him.
So you view him in what way now? Wait and see, or? Yeah,
that's what I said then. I believe wait and see. When I say wait and see, it doesn't matter what I think. You happen to ask me. Granted, top 25 was an exaggeration. He's obviously a good
originally you said top 50.
Top 50, I know. Hey, sometimes you put your foot in your mouth. Top 25 was an exaggeration. He's a good coach. Probably I'm sure he's a good person. He's got a good staff. But let's see what happens. I saw what happened at Utah and at Bowling Green with 2 years of recruiting when he left. I saw what happened at Florida when he left. And I just think in my book, which doesn't matter except to me, if you're a top coach, let me see what you can do with a program that's fallen on hard times. He's not had that experience. So when these guys graduate in 2 years, everyone he inherited, not everyone, but most of them, I'll see how he does. Ohio State's a great school. You coach at Ohio State, Alabama, tradition schools like that, and others, you're going to get good players. So that's my thought, Paul. I don't want to beat a dead horse. Hey, I'm very pleased with Ohio State that they did this year, and I was on their bandwagon a lot sooner than the Ohio State fans, or the ones on Twitter, I should say.
We'll get to your phone calls for Danny Sheridan at 855-242-7285 in a couple of minutes. You also went against several other SEC schools in the bowl games. Turned out to be right about that, too. Why?
Well, you may think it's being apologetic to this is just being a handicapper. You may think it's SEC apologetic, but here's LSU. They beat Wisconsin the opening game at a neutral site. Auburn beats LSU 41-7. Auburn is looking at game film of Wisconsin losing 59-0. I would say Auburn was a tad overconfident. I think they're a better team. I love Barry Alvarez as the head coach. I know he's athletic director, but he coached them to that win. He also upset Auburn several years before that in the bowl game. So I just felt they'd be overconfident. If they played tomorrow and I just had to pick a winner, I would take Auburn. I think they're a better team. LSU, why did I pick Notre Dame? LSU is looking at film of Notre Dame losing 4 straight games, Paul. They got slaughtered by Southern Cal their last game. They got slaughtered in the middle by Arizona State, lost at home to Northwestern and Louisville. Nothing to gain, in my handicapping opinion, by LSU beating them, and they just showed up. Mississippi State, they were reeling from the loss to Alabama, and more specifically, Ole Miss knocked them from consideration of the playoffs. I think Georgia Tech is very underrated. They're very impressive. I picked them against Florida State. They should have won. Picked them against Georgia. They did win. And I just happen to think that Georgia Tech is a very good, underrated team. Mississippi State, a tad overconfident. If they played again, Georgia Tech would probably win. If LSU played Notre Dame again and it mattered, LSU would win LSU would beat Wisconsin, and LSU would beat, excuse me, I'm all confused now, Paul. Auburn would beat Wisconsin if they played again. I said that earlier. And LSU would beat Notre Dame if they played again. I don't think Mississippi State would. That's my garrulous reason as a handicapper for picking those teams. No personal vendettas.
Danny Sheridan with us. Some pretty strong comments already this afternoon. We'll get to your phone calls at 855-242-7285 when we return.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
We welcome you back. Danny Sheridan is with us. Everyone back with us now. We'll start with phone calls. And Ron starts us off in Panama City, Florida. You're on with Danny Sheridan. Go right ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Paul. Really enjoyed the show on a daily basis. Thank you for taking my call. I just want to call. I've been listening to Danny Sheridan on the phone. Just interesting to listen to him eat a little bit of crow about his Urban Meyer statement. Just to say that he's not a top 25 or top 50 coach is to me, beyond ridiculous. When he arrived at Ohio State, the program wasn't in the best shape to begin with. They had some NCAA problems, and they weren't exactly as athletic as you need to be to compete at the highest level. But as an Ohio State fan down here,
let me hold on a second. Ron, let's let Danny address that since he's the one who said it. Go ahead, Danny.
Okay.
Well, Ron, I thought the program had a lot of athletes, starting with Miller, which was inherited, and I believe Jones also is a third-year sophomore. I believe Tressel recruited him. They had a lot of talent, and they've also brought in a lot of talent. So I don't think I thought the program was in excellent shape, and that's why in preseason 2013, when they were favored every game and everyone thought they were great, I said, I just think they're going to lose a couple of games, and they did, unexpectedly. This year, I don't think, Ron, and I may be wrong here, I don't think you expected them to beat Michigan State with Barrett. I don't think you expected him to beat Wisconsin with Jones. I did. So, it's sort of taken out of context. I'm not anti-Ohio State. I've got a lot of friends there. In fact, one of them is probably one of the big givers to Ohio State athletic.
Ryan is in Dayton, Ohio for Danny Sheridan. Go ahead.
Hi, Danny. I'm from Ohio. Not an Ohio State fan whatsoever, a huge SEC fan, and not going to talk about Tennessee. Tennessee's my team, and Butch Jones, what he's done there. But I totally agree with what you said about Urban Meyer as far as what caliber coach he is and what he has come into. And when you look at the program that needs rebuilt, Ohio State was not that program. Ohio State did not need rebuilt.
Well, Ryan, when he got to Florida, it was the same. He's a good coach. Don't misunderstand like he's a terrible coach. He's a good recruiter. He's a good coach. But Ryan, as you know, when he got to Florida, I think 18 or 19 of their starters on the first national championship team were Ron Zooks. They had a good program. When he got to Utah, just 2 years there, he inherited Steve Smith, who was the number one pick in the draft, and Bowling Green, he inherited Omar Jacobs, a great quarterback. There's nothing wrong with that. I was just basing, and I'm glad you heard it correctly, basing my opinion on inheriting a program with a lot of talent as opposed to rebuilding one like Saban had to do that was down in the dumps when he arrived at Alabama.
Jim is next for Danny Sheridan. Hey, Jim.
Paul, Danny, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy, healthy New Year to you too, Jim, and to Paul.
Well, I'll preface what I'm going to say by saying, Paul, I like Danny, but I'm going to say what I say, like you say what you say. And I say that you talk about these callers needing a fantasy camp for callers. If there's one guy that could lead a camp, not a fantasy camp, a clinic, to 95% of your hack guest as to what a guest should be, it's Danny Sheridan. He's the most compelling guy. I just love to hear this man talk on the radio. I don't care if he talks about a funeral. I don't like funerals, but he can talk. He can flat out, as you said about me one time, this guy, Danny Sheridan, can spit it out, and he don't stutter. I don't mean any reflection on anybody that stutters, but you know what I mean. He gets it out there. I love the way Danny does what he does, and I agree with what he said today. I agree. You know I said what I said about the inadequacy of the quarterback, inability, so forth. Danny said it too. We both said it earlier in the year. It proved out finally to be true. Couldn't win the championship with that guy, but he did a great job. It's nothing personal, as you said. And I also totally agree with what Danny said, because it's true. The defensive secondary is completely inept at Alabama, has been for 2 or 3 years, and I love the way that Danny is not afraid to tell the truth. But anyway, great spot, Danny. I love what you say.
Well, Jim, I appreciate that. It's just my opinion. I've been wrong plenty of times, but it's just an opinion. We're talking football. We're not talking like rocket science or something like that, or something life-threatening.
Let me say this, Danny. Let me say something else that I really believe, and like most people don't want to say it. You're not afraid of the other guys as to what they'll think, by being afraid to say what you believe, and that's what I admire. You're not afraid to tell it like it is or like you believe it is, whether it is that way, whether you make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but at least you go out there and tell it like you believe it. And 99% of the time, from what I've seen and everybody else, the record shows you've been exactly right. And that's all it is to it. Simple as that. I can add it up.
Let me say this, Jim. I do appreciate it, but I also, and I mean this sincerely, I do respect other people's opinion, even when they disagree with me. And when they take things out of context, that's their problem, not mine.
Well, I'm just saying that you're the best.
Well, you're very kind. I appreciate that. The check's in the mail.
Well, now just get the present to me.
You got it. Wayne is in St. Augustine. A lot of support here for Danny Sheridan. Go ahead, Wayne. You're on with Danny.
Hey, sir. How are you, Danny?
Really well.
Good. Hey, Danny. My name's Wayne Smith. I live in the great state of Florida. And just want to say we love you. Let me tell you what. We despise Urban Meyers in Gainesville, Florida, in the state of Florida. He came in and turned our program upside down. He has destroyed our recruiting and our fan base. So let me just say one more thing. Like I said, we really love you.
Well, no, I appreciate that, Wayne. And, again, I'm not anti-Urban Meyer, and I'm not anti-Ohio State. And it's true that Florida, and I speak down there every year to the Bull Gator Club, and it is true whether people like it or not. First of all, he did a nice job with Ron Zook's recruits, did an excellent job. Did an excellent job with Tebow. If he didn't get Tebow, I don't know what type of team they had. But the bottom line is the last few years of recruiting, he did not do a good job. And that's the people, not the fans. That comes from the people in Florida that know the situation and coaches I've spoken to about that. And that doesn't mean you're a terrible person, but that's the truth. So what I would like to see, and it may happen, how is Ohio State going to be in 2 years when a lot of the talent that he inherited is gone? Not all of them, but a lot of them. If he dominates the Big Ten and he dominates college football in 2 years from now with his own guys, that'll be sensational. And I'll be one of the first, if not the first, to tip my hat to him. But I got to tell you, when they make him an underdog with a very good Ohio State team against Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Alabama, I'm on board because I happen to think that Ohio State has a sensational team. And I thought that last year, even though they lost 2 games, they still have a lot of great athletes, just like a lot of big tradition schools have. And, again, I have no problems with them.
Ray is next in Xenia, Ohio, for Danny Sheridan. Go ahead, Ray.
Well, thanks for taking my call. Danny, I'm curious what your thoughts are on Ohio State's quarterback situation for next year. I live in the Dayton, Ohio region, and Braxton went to the same high school that my son went to, so obviously I got a lot of pride with that. And curious what you think about what's going to happen with Braxton next year.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Jim Tressel recruited Cordell Jones, then he sent him to a junior college or something because he wasn't quite ready. My thought is if Jones had not tweeted when he got to campus that he was there to play football, maybe not go to school or something like that, I'm paraphrasing it, I think he would have been the starter. I think he's better, a little bit better than Miller, which is saying a lot, in Barrett. All 3 of them are excellent. All 3 are winners. And whichever one Meyer starts, will win at Ohio State next year. They're going to really be good, as everyone knows. They're not what I would call a young team. They've got a great mix of good seniors that were inherited.
We're going to break. Danny Sheridan is our guest. Much more to come as we continue on this Thursday.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Let's check in with Todd in Ohio. Todd, you're on with Danny.
Hi, Paul, first-time caller. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
Enjoy your show. Hey, I have a comment, actually, for Danny. He was talking about how Saban inherited a program down in the dumps, and he was looking for Meyer to prove himself. Actually, if you think about it, Meyer took over at Ohio State. They were coming off their first losing season in over 100 years. And
they had a lot of great athletes, in my humble opinion, Todd, on that team, and Meyer did a great job with that team. But he inherited, and he would tell you that, a lot of great athletes, starting with Braxton Miller.
Right. Well, do you also think he gets? You talked about the quarterbacks that we have. Is he getting credit for that as far as building them up, coaching them up?
I didn't say he didn't. I think they got three great quarterbacks. Two of them inherited, and whichever one he picks will do a fine job.
Okay, how about you talked about developing the team. Well, how about underclassmen? You're talking about a lot of these players at Ohio State. You want to see how he does when he gets his players in there. Well, a lot of the players that are contributing, whether it's Ezekiel Elliott on one side of the ball or Von Bell on the other side, a lot of these guys are freshmen and sophomores. When you agree?
He has a lot of good talent. You are correct. But, again, you've also got a lot of great seniors and juniors that were there that are excellent athletes, and Jones is a sensational athlete, and so
but
is
Danny,
Miller.
what difference does it make Urban Meyer's proven he can recruit?
I didn't say he did.
I mean, you act like Ron Zook was without Ron Zook, Urban wouldn't have won at Florida, and without the transitional year after Tressel.
I don't think he would have done as well. No, I don't. But he's done a good job so far. But again, I want to see what happens when these guys leave. That's just my opinion of a criteria of a top coach. That's
you do realize Urban's playing for the national championship Monday night, don't you?
I certainly do, Paul, and I think he's done, as I said, a fine job.
Okay, no, I mean we've said that. I'm just trying. I mean, but you continue to give credit to what was there before him, like Urban. I mean, I heard Kirk Herbstreit say today that Urban has changed the dynamics and the perception of Ohio State more than anyone in history. I mean, it's not looked at as 3 yards in a cloud of dust anymore. It's a totally different dynamic.
I didn't say it was, but it's nice any coach will tell you, it's nice to coach a good team when you bring in good athletes, as he has, coupled with also good athletes. Makes it a lot easier, Paul, than building a program that Saban inherited with Shula.
Tom is next with Danny Sheridan. Hey, Tom.
Paul, thank you. I watch your show all the time. And
thank you.
Danny, I have a lot of great respect for Danny and Tony Barnhart. I think they're two of the best. But
thank you.
I've been a Buckeye fan, and Danny, I'd like to make a few comments and just have you respond if that's okay.
Absolutely, Tom.
Yeah, I watched the years of Earl Bruce. They called him 09 and 3, and then we had Cooper and Coop. So several years he had us undefeated until the Michigan game, and usually the last two games it was always a disaster. But and Tress, he did a great job beating Michigan all the time, but people were kind of turned off on Tressel ball. But when Urban Meyer came in, I'll be honest with you, I've never seen a coach at Ohio State anyway whose play calling is so outstanding, that I have no idea what play he's going to call, and I think that probably makes the opposing teams, making it tough for them. But
would you agree with that, Danny? Would you agree he calls a good game?
I think he does call a good game. I think Jim Tressel calls a good game too.
Okay. And Ron Zook as well, right? Nick is next in Tampa. Most people are agreeing with Danny, by the way. I'm not. Most of the callers are. Nick is next in Tampa for Danny Sheridan. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. Okay. Hello?
Hello.
My name is Nick Neolis. I'm from Tarpon Springs, Florida, near Tampa. Okay. I agree 1,000% with Danny Sheridan about Urban Meyer. In fact, I call him a carpetbagger. He looks out where the schools have good material, and he goes there. He loved Notre Dame. That was his dream, but they didn't have the material. He looked at Florida. Florida was loaded with material because of Ron Zook recruiting, and he went to Florida. You won those 2 years.
Yeah, by the way, let me ask you a question, Nick. Ron Zook, as you said it, I remember him as Ron Zook.
Right.
Was such a great recruiter that.
But he couldn't coach.
Well, okay. You've already answered my question.
That was the whole problem.
Okay. Would anyone agree that Urban Meyer knows how to recruit too?
No,
I think he knows how to recruit.
He doesn't give us the opportunity because what happened his last 2 years, he was off and on.
Nick, you're just bitter about the way it ended. I mean, he signed Tim Tebow. Is there a more important player in Florida history than Tim Tebow? Do you know who came in with Tim that year? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
You want me to go down the roster? You want me to go down the roster of the players that committed with Tebow?
What's that?
You want me to go down the roster of the players that committed the same day that Tebow did?
Well, that wasn't the problem. The problem was when he got through and he made his mind to go to Ohio State. The last 2 years while he was at Florida, he was sick.
Well, first of all, Nick, we're only talking about 1 year. He played. He was number one in the country in 2009. He lost to Alabama. Decided to quit right before the Sugar Bowl. He came back. He was only there 1 more year. Let's not get carried away, okay?
But you're anti-Spurrier. Did you know that Spurrier was 8-3 against Alabama?
I know. Against Auburn? I could write a book about Spurrier. You don't need to educate me, but I appreciate it. PW is in Birmingham. We only have about a minute left. Go ahead. You're on with Danny Sheridan.
Thanks for taking my call, Danny. And no disrespect to you, Paul, but I agree with Danny on all that. And Cisco Time's going to be telling 2 or 3 years, and we'll know. And as far as Alabama goes, real quickly, we were weak in the secondary. It's no big surprise. Jim is not the sensei he thinks he is. I love the way he tries to piggyback your good guess by saying, me and you, Danny, we're alike. But anyway, I'd like for you to handicap Monday night's game for me. And then,
well, unfortunately, we only have about 30 seconds, and I think Danny did. Danny, let's close on Urban Meyer. So I realize you have NFL games to pick, but where are you right now on Monday night with 5 days to go?
I won't address it till Monday, Paul, because I'm thinking about the NFL. But as I said, Urban Meyer and Ohio State. Unlike a lot of their fans, have been great to me.
There's 4 games this weekend, and there's one Monday night. You don't have any lean at all?
Nope. I'll pick it. I want to see what the line is. Right now it's 6.5, and I'll pick it Monday like I always do, just like I did for you the day of the game on Thursday, Alabama, Ohio State. But Ohio State is obviously, again, people only hear what they want to hear. Meyer's done a great job this year. Mm-hmm. I thought he would upset Michigan State. A lot of their fans didn't. I thought he'd upset Wisconsin, and I thought he'd upset Alabama. How many Ohio State fans can say that? So obviously I have a high opinion of their program, regardless of what anyone thinks.
Danny Sheridan, thank you very much. Appreciate your time, as always.
Always a pleasure, Paul.
Good stuff. Florida fans are pretty bitter over Urban Meyer. Did you get that impression listening to the calls? We'll be right back.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
And I think we're talking about Urban Meyer at the foot of perhaps another national championship. If he loses, still a great year, still an amazing coaching job. But what if he wins? What if he wins Monday night? Rich is in Atlanta, and you are next up. Hey, Rich.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
Hey, Paul, I would never be disrespectful to you or the show, but I got to tell you, he is absolutely the worst expert you have on.
You talking about
the
Danny?
Mistakes he makes, he is... Paul, I don't even know where to start. You should have pressed him more on the recruiting. The last 2 years at Ohio State, according to Rivals, I believe, his classes were ranked 2nd and 4th. I believe his last recruiting class at Florida may have been number 1. I mean, it's just amazing what this guy says. The mistakes, when he talked about Jones recruited by Tressel. Well, I believe that would have been Luke Fickell, right? Wasn't there...
There was Tressel was fired on Memorial Day, and Fickell came in immediately, coached that team, and then stepped aside, obviously, when Urban came in 3 years ago.
Right. But again, he's as deep as the crust of Wonder Bread. I mean, I've had my issues with him in the past. It's just amazing that the mistakes this guy makes, the hedges... I don't know, man. He just fires me up when he talks. I'm sorry. And I know Jim gave him a ringing endorsement, so I guess it's okay. But if they're getting back to the recruiting, look, I don't like Meyer either, but to say that the guy can't recruit or let's see when these players that he inherited go away, that's ridiculous. Actually, they're going to be better next year, according to most experts, when he does have his full recruiting classes on board.
Well, let me say, Rich, first of all, you don't really even need to look at recruiting rankings. All you need to do is look at what Urban Meyer did from the first game on. They had a hiccup against Virginia Tech, and how did they handle it? Brilliantly. He had 2 Heisman Trophy candidates, one before the season, one during the season, And then your third teamer, what did he do? He finished the Michigan game and he won the Big Ten in this national semifinal. I mean, what is that? That doesn't have anything to do with Jim Tressel 5 years ago.
Right. No, I'm with you. I personally, I don't like the guy, but I respect the job he does. And to say he's not a top 25 or whatever ridiculous.
Originally, it was top.
Insane.
Originally, can we play that? Originally, he said that he wasn't a top 50 coach.
Something,
Yeah. Well, we will
anyway,
replay what Sheridan
I don't
said
mean to
about
be
Urban.
disrespectful.
No, hey,
Yeah,
listen, you can say whatever you want on this show. I mean, that doesn't faze me in the least.
Right. But it's interesting that you can hold the mirror back at him, but I can't. But anyway, I don't know. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry I'm ranting, but he just gets under my skin because again, I don't think that he knows what he's talking about. And the same thing with the handicapping stuff. He says that's why I took them. Well, did he take money line or did he take the points? There's a big difference. The other thing he said, well, Notre Dame, he broke all that down about LSU. Well, did he mention that they were playing a quarterback that didn't play all year? How would he know how that guy would have panned out against LSU? So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just have a hard time with him.
No doubt. Thanks, Rich.
All right, buddy.
Okay. Mike is in North Carolina. Mike, thanks for the phone call. Good afternoon.
Hey, Paul. I guess I should say first-time caller, but I didn't catch the very beginning of Danny's rant or description of Meyer. And
yeah, we're trying to dig up the what he actually said about Urban Meyer last year. When we have that, I'll let you know if the guys can tell me.
Okay. I just started recently watching your show. Obviously, just to let you know, big-time Ohio State fan, more than an Urban Meyer. But since he's been there, he has done nothing but a fabulous job, especially recruiting and coaching, which is, I'm glad you put that into perspective for the last caller. It's not just who you recruit, but can you coach them up? Most of the players that he got that Danny wants to say were inherited never were coached 1 minute by Jim Tressel, unless the 2 or 3 that may have enrolled early. Cardell and Braxton, I know, were both recruited by Tressel. Cardell and who's the guy? Mike Thomas, receiver. Both went to Fort Union, got on campus. The only person they've been coached by, as far as head coach, is Urban Meyer. Most of the starters on this team, there are very few seniors, so most of the people playing right now were recruited and coached under Urban Meyer. So, I mean, I'm not going to – you actually know the Florida situation better than me because I'm a Ohio State fan. I don't care about the Florida situation. But one thing that me and other Ohio State fans are very aware of.
By the way, Mike, we checked Urban's not his final season when he stepped down because that's he was not there for recruiting, but right after the right after losing in the SEC championship game, Urban had a top 3 class. He had 4 top 10 recruits. This is what Danny Sheridan said, not this year. Let's make sure we understand this better. We had him on in August of 2013 after Urban went undefeated while being on probation. This was before last year where Urban's team was undefeated until the final minute of the Big Ten championship game. This is what created the controversy. This is Danny Sheridan on Urban Meyer a little over a year ago.
He left that Florida program in ruins. You can say, oh, he won 2 national championships. That's correct. One with Ron Zook's guys, and the other with Tim Tebow. He's very lucky that Tebow went there. Of course, Tebow would have gone there if you or I were the coach. He's very fortunate. But the best, he's not even in the top 50. Oh, I shouldn't say 50. Top 25. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but if you're talking top 25 coaches, there's no way in hell he's in the top 25.
Danny Sheridan, in August of 2013, we had him on. He did pick Ohio State against Alabama last week. Obviously, some of that seemed to be more negative toward Alabama than positive toward Ohio State. A lot of it he based on the quarterback differential. Kevin is up next in Ohio. Hey, Kevin.
How you doing, Paul?
Okay.
I can't believe that man gets paid for that for a living, for one thing. I mean, he must not know anything about Ohio State football because, like, I caught some of the other caller. I think it's 10 or 11 of our starters on the Buckeyes team our freshmen and sophomores, and he made the comment that, well, he inherited a bunch of good juniors and seniors. A bunch? Well, does he consider a bunch 3 or 4 or 5? That play. And then, like I said, and I love SEC football, but
Hey, by the way, one other thing, Kevin, I forgot to mention. Will Muschamp did get fired. His second year at Florida, they won the Sugar Bowl. They won 11 games. Those were some Urban Meyer recruits, to say the least. They nearly got into the national championship game. But again, that was the bizarre nature of Will's 4 years in Gainesville. But, Kevin, thank you very much for the call. I really do appreciate it. Let's continue with more calls. And Harrington is up next. How are you, Harrington?
I mean, Paul, is it a coincidence you wore the Jim Tressel sweater vest today? Or,
I wore this in honor of the senator, yes.
Well, look,
Harrington, you know why I wore a sweater today, because probably not where you are, but where almost everyone else is in the country, it's about 6 degrees.
Well, Paul, we're 18 degrees down here this morning.
Okay. Well,
we're up to about 24 now. So,
okay.
Hey, Paul, what color is that leash you got wrapped around Danny's neck? Because you were walking him like a dog today. I tell you what. I mean,
it's a crimson.
Does what? I was totally lost in that entire segment you had with him. I could not tell if he was saying Urban Meyer was a good coach, a bad coach, if he was just, coaching all these guys that he was getting for free from somewhere. But does he not remember that not only did Urban Meyer recruit Tim Tebow, but he recruited a guy and got on campus by the name of Cameron Newton. Now, let's think about if Cam Newton would have lasted at Florida, what Urban Meyer would have been. He'd probably still be there right now. I mean, Danny was totally off today.
Cam Newton had absolutely nothing to do with how Urban fared. It was the other players that he got commitments from on not the same day as Tebow, but Tebow has told me and has said many times that there were 6 or 8 players, most of whom are in the NFL, one may be heading to jail, that all came in as a result. Hey, anyway, thanks, Harrington. Appreciate the call.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Jason McIntyre with the big lead joins us. He has written about that. He's written about the dearth of quarterbacks. We welcome Jason to the show. Hope the new year's been good to you, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing great, Paul. Thanks for having me. I've been listening to the show here for a couple hours. I don't know what's more beautiful, the delusion of your callers or the passion that they have for the SEC. It's a joy to listen to, Paul.
Well, let me ask you. I was arguing with one of my friends saying that the Alabama dynasty is over. I looked up the definition. You can't take off a couple of years, can you?
Not at all. And you can't lose 8 or 9 starters on offense, which is looking like what they're going to fall this year. And the quarterback situation is very uncertain there. I would agree with you. And your boy Colin Cowherd, right, as well. The dynasty appears over. What's the scary thing is the Big Ten right now has better quarterbacks heading into next year than the SEC does. That's the real big concern heading into next season.
Let's talk about that, because you dug pretty deep in your piece today at the big lead and did some work on that. What did you come up with underneath that headline?
Well, everybody knows that the Big Ten has had a sad, pathetic history of quarterbacks. The last first-round draft pick they had, Paul, 1995, Kerry Collins. SEC's had they've had 7 in the SEC since 2005. And that's been the big difference recently. When you look at the bowl records and the bowl comparisons, all that's fun. But when you're talking about guys like Juice Williams and Tate Forcier, James Vandenberg, Paul, I don't know if these guys are flipping burgers or selling lawnmowers somewhere right now, but they're obviously not playing football anymore. And SEC, look at this has been like a golden age of quarterbacks for them. Matt Stafford, Tim Tebow, Greg McElroy, your sidekick there, had a nice run with the Jets. Ryan Mallett, Aaron Murray, all these guys are getting drafted. The SEC has had tremendous quarterback play, and you looked at this year, and it's like, Bo Wallace? Is Bo Wallace the cream of the crop? And it looks bleak for next year. I mean, Paul, you saw that Ohio State team this year. Cardale Jones, doesn't he move in and start at quarterback for maybe 10 teams in the SEC next year?
Now, are you telling me he would beat out Jacob Coker after all the buildup?
The Jacob Coker hype was in overdrive. Even Connor Cook at Michigan State. Listen, this guy's going to be a pro. He's a very nice quarterback. He orchestrated that rally against Baylor. And, of course, the kid that everybody loves, that NFL scouts, you talk to him, Christian Hackenberg at Penn State. I know the stats were not there this year. He lost Bill O'Brien to the NFL. But Christian Hackenberg, he's not like Sims was doing at Alabama. He's not throwing to Amari Cooper. He's not handing off to two pros. He doesn't have a pro tight end. Christian Hackenberg at Penn State has nobody. That program's been crippled by the NCAA sanctions. And next year, he's gonna light it up. And I firmly believe the Big Ten has probably 5 better quarterbacks than anyone in the SEC.
Jason, I was surprised as you went back in history in the SEC, you left out that all-pro quarterback from LSU, Jamarcus Russell.
Well, listen, Jamarcus Russell, he was a terrible bust in the pros. But he did look good at LSU. He impressed scouts enough with that arm. He led them to a nice bowl win. And again, you can only judge guys on what they did when they were there. And when they go to the pros, whether it's the wrong system or the coach or the work ethic, or they get $35 million handed to them and they don't know how to react, obviously Jamarcus he tanked in the pros. But, Denard Robinson, remember how much we heard about him as a great college quarterback at Michigan? He was a Heisman contender briefly. He's a running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars right now.
Yeah, chatting with Jason McIntyre, and we're going to show a look here on television of some of the incoming quarterbacks. Dak Prescott, we don't know about him. I mean, he may or may not be back. Mock, of course. Dobbs at Tennessee may be the outlier here. I mean, he really looks good. And, of course, Allen from A&M, who came on. By the way, what happened to Kenny Hill's Heisman campaign? Did I miss something?
Didn't that guy trademark his name after 3 weeks or something silly like that? I mean, I think you're right. Brandon Allen from Arkansas is a very nice player. Arkansas is a team to watch next year. I think you open nailing it. Alabama, they had a great run. Tough to maintain success, especially in the SEC. I think they're going to take a step back, as well as Auburn, perhaps. And I think you're right. Arkansas, Brandon Allen, they could be the team to watch next year in the SEC.
Let me ask you, Jason, because, you write for a website that millions of people go to and follow it. And here we have this game Thursday night that we had obviously a vested interest in, but Alabama losing big games is not the biggest shock. But I'm curious your view of the Schadenfreude going around the country. There almost seemed to be glee on Friday that Urban Meyer of all people had slayed the dragon.
Oh boy, people love when you get to the top of the mountain and you get knocked off. Right, and it's over, and the run is over. Mike Tyson gets knocked out. You know how many people love that? They love when the champ goes down. And hey, when the SEC got knocked out, that was a stunning game when you give up 28 unanswered to the third string quarterback. That was a shocker. I was watching that game and just stunned. And you saw social media light up. And you're right, people were taking glee just as they're going to take shots at LeBron when the Cavs don't win a championship this year. Hey, that's how it happens. The Yankees haven't made the playoffs for a few years. People love when the Cowboys collapse. Hey, SEC struggled in the playoffs, but that's it. They still won 7 bowl games. I don't think the SEC's run of brilliance is over. There's just too many skilled players, too many good coaches in the conference. But hey, so they didn't win a title this year. They didn't win one last year. They may not win one next year. But that doesn't mean that they're irrelevant. They're still the biggest TV draw when it comes to ratings. And they've got the most players transitioning to the NFL. It's still a must-watch conference.
Just from a little bit of a distance, we are fairly close to it here, but what's your view of the way the college football playoff was presented? The numbers were phenomenal. Will that hold up, or how many more people will watch Monday night?
Yeah, I don't know. Given these teams, Oregon, not as much of a national draw as Alabama. No. Like you said, Ohio State and Alabama had more TV viewers than 3 of the 4 NFL wildcard games. I don't think that was anticipated by many. Obviously, Ohio State kind of has a national following. They're popular. People love Urban Meyer. But, I think about 30, 35 million viewers is what they would expect, which, obviously nothing to scoff at. The big problem, Paul, next year, the playoff game is going to be on December 31st because the Rose Bowl refuses to move. So now you got 2 playoff games on December 31st when people are working, which I think is absolutely silly. And they're going to have to do something about that eventually. That can't continue.
I do wonder, though, and I don't run the network, but there was such momentum going into Thursday night, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about this game, but there's a lot of talk about this weekend in the NFL, and that's always been an issue because that Monday night is, and in the years past it was the wild cards, but I mean, talk about some really amazing games. I mean, Dallas and at Green Bay. I mean, the game, the Patriots and the Ravens, the Colts and Andrew Luck. I mean, these are big time games, with the exception of maybe the one in Seattle that will take a lot of the oxygen out of the room. I think all day Sunday and all night Sunday.
I mean, that's a great point. The other way to look at it, of course, is the optimistic one. This is going to be the best 3-day stretch of football we'll have until September. We got 4 NFL games in a 24-hour span, and then the national championship game, which I think is going to be a good one. I actually like Ohio State as an underdog here. I think they're going to have a great chance. Then again, I thought Florida State had a shot against Oregon, so what do I know?
Yeah, that's the game. I was rooting for Florida State and Alabama for all the wrong reasons. I just thought it was going to be a delicious confrontation, and thinking that Alabama would finally end Jameis Winston. That's my final question. Winston went down, and it just seemed like a non-event. Was that just a culmination of all the problems, all the criticism, and the fact that very few people thought the team was really that good anyway?
There was a lucky streak that FSU had this year, whether it was the pass interference in the Notre Dame game. There was the Clemson fumbling on the 10-yard line looking to ice the game there. There was a couple other games where it was so close that FSU should have lost. Louisville, there were a couple fluky bounces. It felt like all the luck Florida State had all season just went out the door against Oregon, and everything flopped the other way. Was it 4 fumbles, 2 bounced it? There's a bounced interception. Just a wacky game. It was almost anticlimactic after that midway through the third quarter, and I think Kirk Herbstreit nailed it when he said FSU looked like they quit. I mean, the fourth quarter, it was a 35-point game or whatever. Nobody's really paying attention. It's just laughing at Florida State. Just a strange game. I don't think I've seen anything like it in such a big spot in a while.
Great stuff, Jason McIntyre. Big lead, always a great read, a great follow on Twitter, and we really appreciate your coming on, Jason. I hope to do it again very soon.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Welcome back to the program. It's been a good one, and Danny Sheridan hogging most of the headlines for what he said today and what he said a year and a half ago, a little under a year and a half ago about Urban Meyer. We have more guests to come, including a conversation with George Schroeder, who spent some time in Columbus. Todd Blackledge, who called the Alabama-Ohio State game last Thursday night as well. Steve Spurrier has made a lot of news in the offseason, and really none of it has been good. But he did have some, by Spurrier, mildly entertaining comments about the new offensive coordinator. He met some members of the media yesterday in Columbia.
What do you think about Schottenheimer joining Georgia's staff?
Well, Shotty played for me down there in Florida. He's been an NFL coach. I don't know why he went to college, but maybe he wanted to go back to college, or maybe it's just a good opportunity for him. But that is an excellent opportunity for any coach. Georgia always have a whole bunch of good players. They've probably been the most consistent team in the East. Well, maybe they haven't been. Heck, we've beat them 4 out of 5 years, haven't we? So anyway, but overall, they've probably been one of the best teams on the eastern side, certainly.
Can't resist taking shots at the University of Georgia, but that's who Steve Spurrier is. Always funnier when he's winning, but still funny nevertheless. Let's take a look at some of the best.
Steve, is there anything in particular that's been key to your success against Georgia over your career?
Oh, just our guys played a little bit better than their guys.
And here's the same man again with a reception and touchdown. McGrick. It's 52-17.
The first question has to be the last drive, Steve, the trick play and scoring late.
Well, somebody told me they'd never scored 50 against Georgia here, and our guys wanted to score 50. So we just played the game. We throw, we run, and we happened to score.
Even though it's been such a long time since it happened, do you still hear, some people mention the half 100 game at Georgia?
No, not really. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't get near the hate from the Georgia side that I used to get. You got to realize it's hard for Georgia to really get mad at South Carolina and get mad. They got so many teams that they're mad at or that are mad at them. It's hard to get another big rival for Georgia. And they got Georgia Tech, they got Florida, Auburn. They almost had a fight with Vanderbilt a couple of years ago, some of their coaches, that is. We still hadn't beaten them enough for them to sort of, circle South Carolina and say that's a team we got to beat.
Welcome back as we'll get to your calls. Jeff is in Chicago. Hey, Jeff.
There's old Spurrier again, acting like he's never had any good players on his team, and everybody he plays just always has better players than him, right? Marcus Lattimore, Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, God, the list goes on and on. I mean, the guy's had plenty of talent over the years. But look, like you said, entertaining nonetheless, Paul. But hey, I wanted to let you know, first of all, that I ordered you a special director's chair with a star on the back. It says Paul Finebaum right in the middle of the star, and that's for our viewing party at the Skokie Quarterback Club. Since I know it's going to be hard for you to get a media credential since there is no SEC team at AT&T.
They directed me to the Cowboys office when I tried to show up in Dallas yesterday.
Well, hey man, it's okay. Don't worry. Well, you'll probably be back there next year.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I can't believe I'm about to call in and defend Urban Meyer. Not that he needs any defending, but I think when you legitimately look at it, I mean, should we go back to when Urban Meyer went undefeated at Bowling Green and give the previous coach at Bowling Green credit for recruiting some of those players? I mean, what about the fact that this guy took Utah to an undefeated season and left them with some players that were able to win a bowl game against a good Alabama team? I mean, I don't know how you can't look at college football and say that Urban Meyer's the best coach in college football in the last 20 years. And look, I love Nick Saban. Nick Saban's a great coach. But when you look at the totality of what Urban Meyer has done and what he's on the brink of doing, look, I know the Big Ten isn't the best league, but he's undefeated in 3 regular seasons in the Big Ten. That's amazing. That's the only coach that's ever done that. I mean, the guy won 2. We know what he did at Florida. Urban Meyer's won at every single level he's ever been at. The he's one of the greatest, soon you're going to have to start putting him in the same sentences as Bear Bryant, as Newt Rockne. I mean, this guy's on the cusp of becoming the greatest college football coach of all time. Now, he has a significant advantage at Ohio State in that he's other than Illinois, he's in the most populous state in the Big Ten that he has to himself. You look at all the other states, you look at a lot of the states in the SEC, and most of them have 2 state schools in the state. But, again, I mean, go back to what this guy did in the MAC and how he put Utah on the college football map and basically built a football program there. And then he went to Florida and took a mess and won it. And this whole thing about leaving Florida in shambles, I mean, look, that's too extreme. I mean, did he leave Florida with some problems? Yes. I mean, but anytime there's coaching change, you leave and a coach resigns and leaves a program, there's some type of trouble. I mean, but damn, Florida went 11-1 2 years later. So I mean, you can't really say shambles. I mean, it's just, as Tim said, I mean, there's just no logic to Danny Sheridan's statements whatsoever. And I mean, this reminds me, we never really, we always hear about Sheridan's great predictions after the fact. I mean, you'll recall the LSU-Alabama national championship where he basically came on your program and said that he thought LSU was going to win the game. And then after the fact, he said, oh, well, yeah, that's what I said, but I ended up changing my mind and picking Alabama to win the game. I mean, this guy should go back to being an actor and playing the abominable snowman in Star Wars Empire.
Well, he did.
Strikes Back.
Yeah, Jeff, he was on our show from New Orleans, I think on a Friday. He did pick Alabama to lose the game. He later said that he learned of an injury, he learned of something. I don't know. I don't really care what anyone picks in any game. You know me. I find all that stuff to be just ridiculous. Now, again, I'm also not paid to put out picks for gamblers to win money. So there is a difference between what I do and what he does.
Look, Danny Sheridan is obviously one of these guys who some of the coaches talk to him, some coaches like him, and if you rub elbows with him and you say something nice to him, then he's going to come on your show and tell you what a good coach he is. But if you brush him off or you don't want to talk to him or you kick sand in his face like Urban Meyer did once upon a time, then I guess he's going to come on here and tell you that he's not a top 25. I can't even say it without just completely laughing. I mean, the guy's maybe the best college football coach of all time, let alone the best coach of the game today.
Don't get carried away. I mean, wait till Monday night before you stand on Mount Everest declaring that.
Okay, well, look, say he loses Monday night. You don't think he's going to win a national championship eventually at Ohio State? I mean, I put money on him winning.
No, I think he's got a.
Listen,
you don't need to convince me about Urban Meyer. I mean, I was an Urban Meyer fan when it wasn't cool.
Okay, look, I'm just saying. I mean, it's it's one thing to objectively say, hey,
Hey, by the way, though, if he was number 50 or even number 26, I'm trying to think who would be like 20 to 25.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? I guess Hugh Freeze, right? I mean, Hugh Freeze must be a better coach than Urban Meyer. I mean, James Franklin must be a better coach than Urban Meyer. I mean, in fact, let's say Luke. I mean, Luke, and honestly, like if it's Jim Trustle's players, then how come Luke Fickell can only go 7-5 with Jim Trustle's players? I mean, it's just it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, go back to playing the monster that fought Luke Skywalker on the ice planet Hoth in Empire Strikes Back. Because I mean, obviously, football's not your forte, Danny.
Hold on one second. We don't have a lot of time, but can we put that caller on with Jeff and spend maybe 30 seconds wrapping this up? Is this me to put on, or whose job is this? We lost him. Anyway, we thought we were about to put you on.
Was it that moron Jim from Tuscaloosa? It probably was. The same Jim from Tuscaloosa who told us that Auburn was the best team in college football. No wonder he lives in an insane asylum, Paul. Hey, have a good day, buddy. See ya.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
We're back on the program. Glad to have you on board. Let's continue. Squirrel is up next. Hey, Squirrel.
I haven't talked to you in a while. I hope you're doing well.
I am. Thanks.
Yeah, great. I've been listening, though. That's for sure. I've been listening. I didn't hear Danny's earlier comments today. I remember his comments from 13, but I didn't hear him earlier today. But do you think that the subscribers to his service will be getting the Oregon pick this week?
Yeah, I don't know. He flat out refused to give us a pick. He said, "I've got 4 playoff games to pick."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We've only known about this matchup for 7 days. I guess Danny hasn't had much time to think about it. But
he's got people paying big money for his pick, so I guess and I wonder, do you have any idea what he charges for his service?
I really don't. At one time, I remember we looked it up. I don't even know how you. I mean,
is it weekly or monthly? I mean, a lot of these guys do it on a weekly basis.
Well, I mean, and I don't say this just because I'm looking for anyone to say, hey, that's great or that's not. I've never made a bet in my life, so therefore I've never subscribed to a betting service. I mean, I see enough ads on the internet. I see enough, hear enough on radio shows. I mean, you can pretty much get them by game, get them by week.
Yeah.
Seems like they're always giving you free picks, aren't they?
Yeah.
The triple lock free pick of the night, that voicemail that you get.
Yeah.
Well, the second that you inquire, that's the problem with these services. The second that you inquire, you get about 30 phone calls telling you that we're going to give you the best picks and the free picks.
I know Sheridan in the past used to. I think it used to be an annual subscription, but I really don't know. And
I heard there was a waiting list
I remember he did say that once. We were taking calls. He said he does not take any new subscribers. He's booked.
Yeah, and like I said, I may give him a call one day and inquire about that sometime.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
anyway,
I think Jeff from Chicago was turned down to be a subscriber.
Rich in Atlanta as well. I don't think Rich gets the best picks of the weekend.
He may turn me down too. I don't know, but no, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that we're not going to be in the championship game, and I'm trying to pick a team to side with here. I've spent a lot of time in Ohio. I've spent a lot of time in Oregon actually, and I'm trying to.
You know what? I'll tell you what, Squirrel. I can live with either one. It's of no real. I mean, I see the advantage of both.
I'm going with the Oregon fan. I mean, if I'm going to have to listen to somebody the rest of the year run your mouth, I mean, I'm going to have to do it.
I will tell you, after having this started last Thursday night during our simulcast. If Ohio State wins, you will never hear the end of it.
Oh my God! I mean, a Northerner with something more to talk about. I mean, what else do they need? I mean, so anyway, that's why I'm pulling for Oregon. But I spent some time out in Grants Pass in Portland, and I will say this: I like the country out there, but the women are a little earthy. Mm-hmm. And any of them coming to Dallas, I would appreciate for the sake of the Dallasonians, leave the flannel shirts at home, leave the knit caps.
No, I will tell you, Squirrel. I spent about a week with the Oregon fans 4 years ago out in Arizona when they played Auburn, and they're totally different type of people. I mean, thanks. I'm not about to come on here and do all the usual Oregon jokes because I have never been to the state, or maybe I have once. It's a cool place, but the people are different. They're very laid back. They're a little more cerebral. Ohio State people, they live in Ohio.
Yeah.
Speaks for itself.
They live in the Rust Belt. They're tough. They're blue collar. But think about this. If I were to tell you that, where is the stronghold of football in the United States? And to think that the Seattle Seahawks are the Super Bowl champions, and then Oregon, if they win on Monday, both teams in the Pacific Northwest champions.
Yeah, they haven't had a lot. I mean, I can't remember the owner of either the owner of the Portland basketball team or the owner of the Seattle lives in the other place. And I mean, they're connected in some ways. And I went to Seattle last year, and I love the place. I mean, it's the first time I'd ever been there. I mean, other than the 5.5-hour ride between two screaming children in the last seat of the plane, it was really one of the more enjoyable experiences I've ever had. I-Man is up next. How are you, I-Man?
I'm doing well.
I'm not sure. Hey, I-Man, I'm not sure where I heard more whining between those two kids on the 5.5-hour nonstop flight to Seattle, or since last Thursday night.
You know, I'm sitting here looking at your program on TV and your tweets. Can I get my tweet on your show, Paul?
You can. Go ahead and give us your mean tweet.
Hey, speaking of Twitter, man, I just when I was monitoring Twitter during the show, was it you and Chris Fowler going back and forth a couple minutes ago?
Oh yes.
You and Chris Fowler? Did you run that? Did you run that? Was that your real account?
Listen, Paul, I've just got one Twitter account, and I'm not going to beg to have it put on your screen, every other month, changing it. I'm just me. I'm just I-Man. I'm not I-Man from Montgomery, of Montgomery, at Montgomery, going to Montgomery, leaving Montgomery. I am live from the capital city always. I'm just one guy. That's it. I don't pretend to hang out with Danny Sheridan and all that damn hair dye and all that nonsense. What a squabbling old lady he is. How can you trust a guy that dyes his hair like that? Paul, if you dyed your hair, well, you hadn't got any hair to dye, do you? But if you did dye your hair like that, you'd have a black suit on. I mean, with the work you do and the lights and the camera and the sweating, it'd be all over your shoulders. I mean, Danny Sheridan is irrelevant. Listen, anybody, if you can't make your mind up on two teams, you either take the points or you don't. And if you can't make your mind up and you've got to call somebody like that, bless your heart. Bless your heart. But the only two people that think Danny Sheridan is relevant is Legend, the guy that runs his bathwater, and Jim from Tuscaloosa. That's it. That's all there is. Nothing else said. Those two guys, those three guys are three peas in a pod. And if you ate them, you know what you get, Paul? Stomach gas known as a fart. Ward down Eagle.
Ashton in Biloxi, Mississippi. Good afternoon.
P-Town, Paul Finebaum. What's going on, my man?
What's up?
Oh, I can't call it. John, what's going on?
Welcome back, Ashton. Thanks.
Hey, let me defend Danny Sheridan, and Ohio State fans, pay very close attention to this. I understand why Florida is so pissed off about Urban Meyer. Look at Urban Meyer's track record. 2 years at Bowling Green, had a quarterback, left. 2 years at Utah, had his quarterback, left. Tim Tebow at Florida, had his quarterback, served his time, left a year too late, left. He gets his quarterbacks, gets what he needs out of them, and then he hauls behind. If he wins this football game, he's got Cardell Jones for another 2 years. Buckeye fan, he's gone in 2 years. I think the reason why Danny Sheridan said what he said and he's not buying into Urban Meyer is because Urban Meyer is not loyal to stay anywhere. He's not a quarterback. He doesn't believe in developing the second-tier quarterback. He could have stayed around. I mean, he could have kept Cam Newton there at Florida when he was a backup to Tim Tebow. But he didn't. He wasn't buying into Cam Newton. That's why Cam Newton ended up going to Auburn and won a national championship. So I get what Danny Sheridan is trying to say and why people are missing the point and what they say about Urban Meyer. But one thing, Danny Sheridan, I will say about Urban Meyer, he's not loyal to a program. So Ohio State fan, enjoy it while you can, because not only is Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, Penn State is off sanctions, so they're going to get their scholarships back. You got Mike Riley at Nebraska, and then you got Mark D'Antonio at Michigan State, I believe. So you're going to be seeing a couple of 2 and 3 lost seasons, and if he doesn't have a quarterback that can compete, guess what? It's going to be exit stage left. Because
thank you, Ashton. Listen, I've heard that before about Urban, and he's 2-1 against Nick Saban in playoff games or championship games. Not a bad record.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Jim is next.
You know this. You might not admit it because he's controversial, and you and him have some disagreements, but Danny Sheridan is radio gold. Mm-hmm. iMonkey is radio smuck. And,
radio
you know, he calls it irrelevant. Paul, he rides the coattails of me and Legend. He has been doing that for 11 years now. That's all he knows to do because he can't bring anything. He's got nothing. He's an imbecile from Montgomery, Alabama, a redneck, stupid, psychopathic, moron hick. That's what iMonkey is.
Psychopathic hick. I've never heard that before in all of my
well, you just heard it.
Sociological and psychological training. I've never heard the phrase psychopathic hick. That sounds like the name of my new book.
That's right. He keeps a ton of freon for why would he wonder why. But and then you got this other clown. Both of these clowns, I guess they entertaining to some clowns. They're entertaining to other hick rednecks. But you know, you got this moron. This is what I tweeted. They won't even play it back like they told Dan they were going to play it back in the control room. Man, I'm having a little problem with the control room, Paul. Don't they know you don't make Jim mad? Don't they know that?
You don't mess around with Jim.
That's right.
I tried to tell him, Jim. I'm trying to tell him.
Well, you need to warn him, John, because you're doing a good job of that. But anyway, Here's what I tweeted. I'll read it to you. What I tweeted about that bull run.
This is from your account or a fake account?
I've only got one account, Paul. The others are fake, Jim. You know that. So why make a joke out of that? You're getting down there with that psychopathic hick now.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
You don't want to get in that company.
No, I don't want to be a psychopathic hick.
That's exactly
Go ahead. What's your tweet, Jim? We have to move on.
Here's what I tweeted a while ago. Typical, in bold letters, Yankee buffoon Jeff Stahl at Finebaum. Your handle on there.
Yeah, I know what my handle is.
Quote, Meyer, better than Bear Bryant, Nick Saban, and Newt Rockne, end quote. The imbecile, nasal Jeff claims. Last thing I put, at nut. Now, come on, Paul. That's the nuttiest statement you ever heard, and you let it go without saying one word.
Well, you know why, Jim, because it's not as good as they used to be.
No, you are good. You just want as many callers like morons and Jeff and I, man, because you think that the mix makes the show, and maybe it does. I just can't stand either one of them.
We could have you on the whole 4 hours. Would that be good?
Well, you told a guy one day you'd let me on for 4 hours. Is that true or not?
I've always challenged you, Jim, that if you're as good as I think you are, and you think you are, then we can send a plane for you, or send whatever you want to do.
It's not about thinking. It's not about how good I am. It's you know how good I am.
Right.
That's why I'm on now. That's why I was on at 3. That's why I'm on at 10, 2, and 4. Yeah. If I want to be. I shouldn't say that. Really, I don't feel that way a whole lot, just a little. I'm not bragging, but you told me, Paul, it's not brag if it's fact.
No, I did say that once.
So I'll just put it this way. You, me, and Danny Sheridan make a
you know what Mae West once said about.
Yeah, well, I know one thing she said. I heard my daddy quote it. She said, when I'm bad, no, she said, when I'm good, I'm really good. But when I'm bad, I'm butter.
But she also said, too much of anything is wonderful.
Okay, Paul, I think I've made my day with what I said, and you let me say it again. Whether it'll be good or not, it might make a new book. I don't know.
I hope so. Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to say to Ashton. He was nice today, but I just wanted to say one more thing to Ashton. I think you'll recognize this a little bit. Page 54, Ashton. Page 54. Page 54 in the Finebaum book. Page 54, Ashland. Page 54, 59 to nothing, Charles. 59 to nothing, Charles. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Jim. Talk to you soon. Ryan is in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, thanks.
Hey, I'm just a little curious about all the Florida hate for Urban.
Don't be curious. It's been there since 2010.
Well, because he wasn't winning then. I get that.
Well, no,
but when he was winning, they loved him.
Oh yeah, they loved Urban. Urban was king. They called him Pope Urban.
Well, yeah,
you know
I'm
why?
sure they
because
did.
he was named after a pope.
Well, I'm sure he was. His name's Urban.
Well, no, I just didn't make that up. I mean, he was.
No, but I get it. But I think it's funny that everybody says he wins with everybody's recruits, yet we're winning right now with a lot of his recruits. We're sophomores and freshmen. These aren't Jim Tressel's recruits. I've been hearing a lot of that on the show lately.
Yeah, no, well, listen, I agree with you. I'm not arguing. I mean, Danny Sheridan was the one who said what he did, and others have said likewise.
No, and I get it. I get it. I'm curious as to why that turned so vitriol. I know it's down south and it's a little different.
Well, let's start with the fact that Urban is a polarizing figure. He's won, and he's won big, and that brings on a little bit of criticism around the country. And he also left Florida, and things didn't go. If Florida had won immediately, no one would have cared. Everyone forgets that Will Muschamp won 11 games his second year and went to the Sugar Bowl before losing to Louisville, and then Will Muschamp got fired for a very simple reason. He made terrible mistakes in the offensive coordinator position, and that's why he's now a defensive coordinator somewhere else. But thanks for the call, Ryan. Enjoy the game Monday night.
I appreciate it. Have a great time. By the way, I do think the SEC is the best conference.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to call back anytime, and six times a day, if you'd like, if you keep saying that. Man, the Ohio fans, has the Big Ten network just shut down? I mean, we have put the Big Ten, we couldn't beat the Big Ten in football this year, but we have put the Big Ten network out of business. Come on over, everybody. We got room for you here at the SEC.
Thank you for listening to the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast. Tune into the Paul Finebaum Show every day from 3 to 7 Eastern on the SEC Network or on the ESPN Radio app.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.